Right now, on the same machine you use to build your rigs, benchmark your GPUs, and research your next upgrade, there's a program running in the background that knows more about your hardware spending habits than any retailer on the planet. It knows what GPU you searched for at midnight when the RTX 50 series hype was peaking. It knows the CPU benchmarks you quietly checked before you told anyone you were upgrading. It knows the prices you tracked, the forums you lurked, the specs you obsessed over, and the components you almost pulled the trigger on but didn't. It has been collecting all of this silently, efficiently for years, and it has been selling that information to the highest bidder every single day you had it open. That program is Google Chrome. And today on Hardware Report, we are doing what we do on this channel. We are pulling back the curtain. We are showing you the real picture that Google does not want you to see. And we are giving you 3 specific alternatives that are not just safer. They are objectively better in ways that will directly affect your PC's performance, your battery life, and your personal financial security. Stay until the end, because the action plan we give you at the close of this video will take you less than 30 minutes to execute, and it will change how you experience the internet permanently. Let's start with a number that puts this entire conversation in context. 83 billion. That is the number of active Chrome users worldwide as of 2026. Not downloads, active users. People who open Chrome as their primary browser on a regular basis. That is roughly half of every human being alive on Earth right now. More people use Google Chrome than have electricity in their homes. More people open Chrome every morning than live in North America and Europe combined. For a channel that covers market dominance and corporate manipulation in the hardware space, this number should trigger every alarm you have. Because when one company's software touches this many lives simultaneously, what it does in the background is not a niche privacy concern. It is a market event. It is a structural force that shapes prices, influences information, and extracts billions of dollars in value directly from the people using it, including every single one of you watching this right now. And here is the core fact that most people never confront directly. Google is not a software company. Google is not a search company. Google is an advertising company. In 2024, Google generated approximately $237 billion in revenue. The overwhelming majority of that money, roughly 80%, came from advertising, specifically from targeted advertising. The kind where a company does not just pay to show a message to millions of random people, but pays a premium to show it to exactly the right people, at exactly the right moment based on demonstrated behavioral patterns that reveal what those people want, fear, and are about to spend money on. That is the business. That is the product. And Chrome is the machine that feeds it. Here is where it gets specific, because this is the part Google buries in privacy policy documentation that was designed to be long enough that no one reads it. Independent research published in 2025 confirmed what security professionals have known for years. Chrome collects 20 different types of user data. 20. The average competing browser collects 6. Chrome is not just more aggressive, it is more than 3 times more aggressive in what it pulls from your device and your behavior. That data spans 8 major categories, and we are going to go through what matters most. First, personal identifiers. Chrome ties a user ID, a device ID, and unique browser identifiers to your activity. This happens whether you're signed into a Google account or not. The identifiers follow you across browsing sessions, across restarts, across devices if you sync. You're not anonymous to Google even when you think you are. Second, and this one is specifically important for this audience, financial information. Chrome is the only major browser that collects payment methods, card numbers, and bank account details as documented data points. Every time you buy a GPU on Newegg, every time you check out on Amazon for a new cooler, every time you enter a card number into any site while Chrome is your browser, that data is in Google's collection framework. No other mainstream browser does this by default. Third, browsing history. Chrome stores your local browsing history for 90 days as a default. But the moment you enable Chrome Sync, which the browser actively, persistently encourages you to do by placing prompts in your interface, your entire browsing history uploads to Google's servers and links to your Google account permanently. Every page you visit, every product you researched, every benchmark site you checked, every forum thread you read, time-stamped, categorized, and feeding a behavioral profile that advertisers pay Google to access. Now here is the part that catches even technically sophisticated users off guard, even if you never sign into a Google account. Even if you use Chrome without syncing anything, you are still being tracked across the web at massive scale. Google's advertising and analytics infrastructure, Google Analytics, Google Ads, Google Tag Manager, is installed on an estimated 85% of the top 10 million websites on the internet. That means on roughly 8.5 out of every 10 websites you visit, Google has code actively running on that page reporting your behavior back to Google servers. You visit a GPU review site. Google Analytics is there. You check a price comparison tool. Google Ads code is running. You look at a forum thread about thermal paste. Google Tag Manager is observing what you read and how long you spend on it. None of those sites are Google. You never searched on Google, but Google has full visibility into your entire session because the tracking infrastructure is woven into the fabric of the web itself, and Chrome is the vehicle through which most of the world navigates that web. This is what the tech industry calls the surveillance advertising ecosystem. Google is its architect, its dominant operator, and Chrome is its single most powerful data collection instrument. Now, let's talk about where this stands legally, because the regulatory picture around Chrome has shifted dramatically, and the implications are bigger than most people tracking this story realize. In August 2024, a federal judge in the United States District Court ruled that Google is a monopolist. The ruling found that Google illegally maintained its dominance in search and search advertising by using its control of distribution channels, including Chrome, to lock out competition. This was the most significant antitrust ruling against a technology company since the government went after Microsoft in 1998. It confirmed at the level of federal law what this channel has been saying about corporate manipulation in the tech market for years. The product that appears to serve you is actually a mechanism for controlling the market around you. The DOJ pushed hard during the remedies phase of the case, which concluded in September 2025, to force Google to sell Chrome outright. Think about the implications of that. The United States government argued in federal court that Chrome, in Google's hands, constitutes an instrument of illegal market control so significant that the remedy should be forced divestiture. Perplexity, one of Google's AI competitors, had already announced it was prepared to buy Chrome for $5 billion. The judge ultimately rejected the Chrome sale, ruling that Google must instead ban exclusive default search contracts, the same contracts that paid Apple an estimated $20 billion per year to keep Google as the default search engine on every iPhone. But here is what matters for you right now. The DOJ has cross-appealed. As of April 2026, both sides are heading to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. The DOJ is still pushing for stronger remedies, including forced divestiture. Final resolution is not expected until 2027 or 2028 at the earliest. And separately, a second antitrust case, focused specifically on Google's advertising technology business, found Google liable for monopolizing open web digital advertising markets, and is still awaiting its own remedy ruling. That case could still result in a structural breakup of Google's advertising infrastructure. The bottom line for Hardware Report viewers is this. The business model that makes Chrome a surveillance tool is under legal assault from multiple directions simultaneously. The era of Chrome operating with no accountability is ending, but regulatory timelines move in years. You are using Chrome every day. So let's talk about what you can do right now. We are going to give you 3 browsers. Each one built differently, each one suited to a different profile, and none of them require you to give up functionality. Firefox has been around since 2004. That makes it 4 years older than Chrome. At its peak, Firefox powered over 30% of all global internet traffic. Then Chrome arrived, backed by Google's billions, pre-installed on Android devices by default contracts that the DOJ just ruled were illegal, and Firefox got squeezed. But Firefox never stopped developing. And what makes Firefox fundamentally different from Chrome has never changed. Mozilla, the nonprofit organization that builds Firefox, does not have an advertising business. It does not make money by building behavioral profiles of its users and selling access to those profiles. Its revenue comes primarily from search partnership deals. It gets paid when users perform searches through its default search engine. That is a completely different incentive structure. Mozilla does not benefit financially from knowing more about you. It benefits from building a browser that you trust enough to keep using. In practical privacy terms, Firefox blocks third-party tracking cookies by default, something Chrome still does not do in its standard configuration. It has enhanced tracking protection built directly into the interface, automatically blocking known tracking scripts across the web. It isolates cookies by site, meaning a tracker cannot follow you from one website to another, even if it is technically present on both. And it has built-in fingerprinting protection. Fingerprinting is worth explaining for this audience specifically, because it is the advanced tracking method that has quietly replaced cookies for sophisticated advertisers. Your browser has hundreds of measurable characteristics. The fonts installed on your system, your screen resolution, the exact versions of your software, the graphics card your machine uses, your time zone, your installed plugins. Individually, none of these identify you, but combined, they create a fingerprint unique to your specific device with very high probability. Firefox actively works to make your browser look more like every other Firefox browser, reducing the distinctiveness of your fingerprint and making you significantly harder to track. For a hardware-focused audience running custom builds with unusual configurations, this matters more than for average users. Firefox is also fully open source. Every line of code is publicly available for independent audit. Anyone can verify that Firefox does what it claims. Chrome is based on an open source project called Chromium, but Chrome's own specific components are closed source and cannot be independently verified. For a channel that covers corporate manipulation and hidden practices in the tech industry, the distinction between auditable and unauditable code is not a small one. Performance-wise, Firefox has closed the gap substantially. The Quantum Engine update dramatically improved speed and memory management. In independent 2025 benchmarks, Chrome uses significantly more RAM than Firefox when running multiple tabs simultaneously. If you have ever opened Chrome with 15 tabs and watched your system RAM get eaten alive, which on a hardware-focused build you absolutely have noticed, Firefox handles that load more efficiently. One more thing for this audience specifically. Google has been making changes to Chrome's extension framework. The shift from Manifest v2 to Manifest v3 that security researchers and extension developers have confirmed significantly limits the capability of ad blocking and tracker blocking extensions. The most powerful privacy extension available on any platform, uBlock Origin, is being restricted in Chrome in ways that reduce its effectiveness. Mozilla announced that Firefox will maintain support for the more capable extension framework, specifically to preserve the ability of privacy tools to do their job without Google's restrictions. The reason Google is making this change is not subtle. Powerful ad blockers reduce the effectiveness of Google's advertising products. A browser framework that limits those blockers directly serves Google's revenue. Firefox is where uBlock Origin still works at full capability. Best for hardware report viewers who want a direct familiar replacement for Chrome with strong privacy defaults, full uBlock Origin functionality, and an open source foundation they can actually trust. Brave launched in 2016, and it takes a more aggressive approach to privacy than any other mainstream browser. Brave is built on Chromium, the same open source engine underlying Chrome, which means it is deeply compatible with the web, renders pages identically to how Chrome would, and can run Chrome extensions. But Brave strips out every piece of Google's data collection infrastructure from Chromium and replaces it with a privacy-first architecture. The headline stat for this channel's audience: Brave delivers 40% better battery life than Chrome on mobile devices, according to independent benchmarks. On desktop, because Brave blocks ads and trackers before they load, not after, pages load with less computational overhead, less network traffic, and less CPU usage. Independent tests have found Brave loading pages up to 3 times faster than Chrome on ad-heavy websites. Ads and trackers are not just a privacy problem. They are a performance tax. Every tracker that loads is a script your CPU has to execute, a network request your connection has to fulfill, a render your GPU has to process. Brave eliminates that tax by default before it hits your hardware. Brave Shields, the real-time dashboard built into the browser, shows you exactly how many trackers and ads were blocked on every page you visit. Popular news websites typically have between 20 and 50 trackers attempting to run on a single page load. Social media platforms can have more. Hardware review sites, price comparison tools, and tech forums, the sites this audience visits daily, are frequently loaded with them. With Brave, every single one is blocked before it reaches your system. Brave also includes a built-in VPN option and, critically for privacy-conscious users, a Tor integration for private browsing windows. Tor routes your internet traffic through multiple relay points globally, making it extremely difficult for anyone to trace your traffic back to your actual IP address. Standard incognito mode in Chrome only prevents your browser from saving a local history. It does nothing to hide your traffic from your ISP, from government-level surveillance, or from the websites you visit. Brave's Tor private windows give you a level of anonymity in private browsing that no other mainstream browser offers without installing a separate application. Brave has an optional advertising reward system called Brave Rewards, where you can opt in to see privacy-preserving ads and receive small cryptocurrency payments for doing so. This is completely optional, entirely separate from the core browser, and has no bearing on any of Brave's privacy or performance features. You can use Brave for years and never touch Brave Rewards. It exists. We are telling you about it for completeness, but it changes nothing about why Brave is a strong recommendation. This is what we do on Hardware Report. We track the market. We follow the money. We find the places where the thing you think is working for you is actually working against you. And we give you the information you need to make a better decision before it costs you. Chrome is the single most profitable data collection instrument in the history of consumer software. It runs on billions of devices. It sits between you and the entire internet. It collects 20 data types, while the competition averages 6, and the company that built it is currently facing antitrust appeals on 2 separate fronts for the illegal monopolistic practices that Chrome helped enable. You spent real money on your build. You spent real money on your internet connection. You spend real hours of your life online. You deserve a browser that uses those resources to make your experience better, not one that processes your behavior as a commodity to be sold. Firefox, Brave, Safari. 3 different tools for 3 different profiles. All of them faster than Chrome in the ways that matter for your specific hardware. All of them built by organizations that are not funded by selling your attention and your data to the highest bidder. Make the switch today. Leave a comment telling us which browser you chose and why. Subscribe to Hardware Report if you have not, because on this channel, the real truth about what is happening behind the interfaces is what we are here to deliver. We will see you in the next report.